or good evening to everyone, dependent on time zone. It's morning for me, so to those in the Eastern time zone, good morning. My name is TJ Whitty. I'm a senior consultant with GBS, and I've been with GBS for a while now. And prior to that, just to give you a bit of background, so that you know who you're talking to, started my IT career back in 2000 as a consultant for a large sort of Fortune 500 consulting company in Europe. And I initially started off in the Java world building Java J2EE web applications, and found my way into what I want to call the wonderful world of the Yellowverse, and I haven't looked back since. So you're speaking to a devout devout Lotus believer and a large proponent of the Lotus technology. So I am technical by nature, so once we do get into the technical aspects of the transformer, by all means, please don't hesitate to ask me any technical questions. All right, so just a recap of the agenda for today. I'm going to be introducing the transformer process and technology to you, and specifically the benefits that the transformer brings to any modernization initiative within your organization. I'm going to show you the GBS web space, which in tandem with the transformer process can actually deliver some extreme value in ways of provisioning your X-Page transformed applications to your users. I'm going to talk about our zero-touch updates and enhancements to our transformer runtime. I'm going to actually show you the transformer technology working live, which I think is going to be the most exciting part of this webinar today. Then I'll talk about the next steps. So how do you engage with us, GBS, in actually starting a transformer initiative? And finally, any questions and answers that you may have. So just a bit of background before we actually get into what the transformer technology does. The driving force behind the development of transformer as a technology for GBS was when we did some market research. And based on our market research in conjunction with specific customers that we've engaged with over the years, we discovered that since the early 1990s, there have been over 10 million applications built on the Lotus Domino platform. Now, a large number of these organizations are looking for ways to modernize these Domino application portfolios so that they can move into a cloud-based model for application delivery, because everyone is starting to recognize that depending on the institution type, for example, so organization vertical, etc., they are starting to recognize that a cloud-based delivery model has substantial benefits for them in the long term when it comes to delivering applications to their user groups. But when they were looking at modernizing their existing Domino application infrastructure and moving them to a cloud-based model, the problem was that they discovered that doing so was very time-consuming, resource-intensive, and cost-prohibitive, because a lot of these organizations are actually looking at rewriting these applications into X-Page applications, or if doing so, they have even considered probably moving off of the Lotus technology stack onto something else in order to get them to the cloud. So the transformer actually alleviates this pain for this application modernization initiative, because transformer actually accelerates the conversion of classic notes-rich client applications to X-Pages. It faithfully and accurately reproduces the existing Lotus Notes application into an X-Page application. And X-Pages are by default, or sorry, X-Pages out of the box are simply IBM's solution or next generation Lotus development technology for rich Web 2.0 applications. And so the transformer offers you a fast, easy, and safe way to actually modernize your existing traditional notes application portfolio into X-Page web-enabled applications. It's fast because the transformer technology automatically converts up to 90% of the application's functionality automatically. There is some manual remediation required dependent on the application type and its complexity, but that's something I'll discuss later on in the presentation. It's easy because you actually get all the benefit of the transformer doing all of the heavy lifting for you. So a large portion of that manual work that would have had to be done with any traditional redevelopment initiative is completely avoided, and it's safe because at no point in the transformer process do we require actual access to your data, and I'll touch upon that again a bit later in the presentation. So how does the transformer process work? Well, the transformer process is an expert piece of technology, and in combination with expert services, transforms an existing Notice Notes client application into an XPages application. So the transformer technology itself actually works on the application template. So once again, there is no need for any data to be present in that application template when the transformation process is executed on that specific application. The transformer generates XPage output into that application through an analysis process that I'm also going to discuss later. We're able to see exactly what can and cannot be transformed, resulting in any manual remediation within that application as required. And the end result is a new template with the traditional Domino design present, such as forms, views, outlines, etc., in addition to new XPage design elements, which can then be utilized from that template to deliver a modern web-enabled application. So the transformer process, like I mentioned, transforms your Lotus Notes applications into cloud-compliant web apps. And so you're not going to require a Notes client for any access to that application in the web. But sorry, just to take a step back. For the entire transformation process, if we're looking at the rich client applications, your traditional access is based upon a FAT client installed on a local machine. Generally speaking, when it comes to multilingual support for those applications, you might have separate templates for each supported language, or some form of complicated business logic present inside of the application in order to deliver that multilingual enablement. You might also, from a usability standpoint, have a multitude of different looks and feels, so therefore an inconsistent user interface across your entire application portfolio. Some would most likely not be compliant with corporate branding and design. And unfortunately, because you're running within a FAT client on independent pieces of client hardware, you could actually run into some performance considerations and or degradation on specific machines because it's dependent on local machine resources. And so with that traditional Lotus Notes client application, there's also the traditional cost of licensing the Notes client. Generally speaking, an upgrade of the Notes client and or rollout of an upgrade process to the Notes client can be quite problematic to manage. Of course, not impossible, and many of us have already developed a very robust and strong process for actually rolling out these updates to our Lotus Notes clients. But it is still part and parcel of the traditional method of accessing client applications through the client. And of course, because the Notes client involves significant amounts of RPC calls back to the server, you generally need a thicker network infrastructure in order to handle the type of bandwidth that gets generated between the client-server communication. So the transformer can actually help with all of those traditional issues by transforming that application into an XPage-enabled application. There's automatic transformation and conversion of the application UI with all the app formula and Lotus script present in that application, and that's transformed into XPages. The exact same business logic and business processes that were in that application remain intact and are faithfully and accurately transformed into the new application. Once again, there's no data migration required. We operate only on templates in the transformer process. And the result is the fact that you actually now have that exact same application, which used to be dependent on a FAT client to run, now accessible from a browser as an XPage application within your own infrastructure or within your own cloud infrastructure or within a hosted cloud infrastructure. And along with enhanced services deliver our expert services team, we can add additional benefit and value to the transformation process because we can develop a standard application theme for those applications, so we can adhere to the corporate design and branding. We can pinpoint any application performance issues and optimize them. We can extend the application functionality specifically through our Transformer runtime engine, as well as with traditional expert services development. And we can also, at that point in time, as part of the transformation project, address any changes in business rules or processes that might be required from individual stakeholders for those applications. And the ultimate result is a modern Web 2.0 X-Page application, accessed via the web browser, thus accessible technically anywhere depending on your network. Native multilingual support for that application, as multilingual support is now built into X-Pages as a default out-of-the-box feature. You're going to have increased usability because it's going to be a modernized, common user experience for all applications across the board, standardized UI, like I said, and you're going to actually, most likely, you're going to see a performance increase for those applications because you're no longer dependent on client resources in running that application. You're going to be using the server's resources for delivering that application, generally speaking, that will result in an improved that will result in increased performance. And because X-Pages are moving away from the traditional notes design methodology, which is Lotus script, which is interpreted at runtime, X-Pages are actually, of course, compiled JSF code. And just because we've gone from interpreted at runtime to compiled code, you're going to see an immediate performance increase there alone. And the transformed application is actually going to deliver greater flexibility for licensing for you, because once you've transformed your application, you can start to determine whether or not you actually need the Notes client installs to deliver those applications to end users, thus saving yourself possible maintenance fees and licensing fees for the Notes client. You're going to simplify your management and deployment process for those applications, as well as the upgrade process. And once again, with the ultimate goal being to be able to host these applications in a cloud-based infrastructure, you're going to be able to leverage the cost-effective cloud-based model. So here's an example of a traditional Notes application delivered via the Notes client. So it's a Notes client. There's the default sort of action bar present in many Notes client applications. We've got an embedded view, or sorry, a view within a frame set that displays our data, and we have a Notes menu navigator on the left-hand side. And then post-transformation, what that application looks like inside of a browser. The exact same sort of look and feel, if you will. So once again, that cuts down on any education that you'll have to do for your end users, which can actually be quite significant depending on your user base. But once again, the same look and feel. But not only that, it's now present in a browser, so you can actually access an application through Chrome, Firefox, or Internet Explorer. The action bar is there as well. We have modern grid controls within the sort of the view grid area, and we have modern menu tree controls where the traditional view sort of view picker was, a view outline. Other benefits that you're going to see from your transformed application is that you're going to have those modern Web 2.0 style field controls, things like the light box effects that you're going to get when it comes to like date pickers, for example. And also worthy of mention once again is the fact that the transformer technology accurately and faithfully reproduces the Notes client functionality, so that also includes the business logic. So we're not just doing a UI layout transformation. No, the goal of the transformation technology in the transformer technology stack, along with the expert services, is to faithfully and accurately recreate and reproduce that application's functionality into an X-Page enabled application. The immediate benefits of the transformer technology are significant time savings and cost savings. Why? Because the transformer technology automates a significant portion of the conversion process, meaning that there is no manual developer effort involved in actually creating that X-Page enabled application. You're going to also see your usability improvements because we're moving to a browser-based model, and you can start to implement your corporate branding, etc. And standardizes that application layout according to that as well. Improved access. No longer are you dependent on the Notes client to access your applications. You can simply access those applications through the browser. You've got native out-of-the-box multilingual support now available. So across the board, significant benefits by using the Transformer technology to web enable your existing Notes application portfolio. Want to stop on this once again so that it actually sinks in, because it's actually a very important part of the overall transformation process and one of the great benefits of the Transformer process, and that is that there is no data migration required in the transformation of your traditional Notes client applications into X-Page enabled applications. We only work on the Notes template file, not on the Notes application itself, meaning that there are no significant risks and the associated costs of migrating the data. So the Transformer is not, the Transformer technology is not dependent on a data migration process, and that can factor in quite significantly depending on the size of your application portfolio and the complexity of your applications as well. So, benefits of the cloud-based model when it comes to Transformer. Across the board, the cloud-based model does have significant benefits to many organizations, but specifically to Domino infrastructure, where you're going to see increased agility because you're going to be able to deploy those new applications quite simply because you're no longer dependent on, for example, local replicas, etc. And you can also increase your IT agility when it comes time for creating new resources or delivering new applications within that cloud-based infrastructure. You're going to be able to do more with less because there's no need for in-house infrastructure acquisition, so hardware purchases, etc., setup and support regarding that. Once again, improved application performance because you're no longer dependent on client-side resources to run those applications. Those resources, those X-Page applications, are going to be delivered via a server, and because of that, you are going to see a performance improvement. Flexibility, because you can now also not only access those applications through a browser on a typical PC, but also you can access those applications through a browser on a smartphone, which just adds another dimension to accessibility for that application. And that will render quite well in the browser on the majority of smartphones available on the market today. And once again, the prospect of substantial cost savings because you're going to eliminate that need to manage, distribute, and install those Notes desktop clients. So let's say that you have a substantial application portfolio that you are transforming, and how do you deliver those applications to your users? The traditional method would have been sending them an email with, for example, a link in that email to that application now residing on a server that they would access through the browser, right? Or you try and do something where you automate the rollout of bookmarks into their browser applications to manage all those applications that are now web-enabled so that they can easily get to those applications in the cloud. So a solution that we've come up with is the GBS web space. And what this is actually a portal, a home page, a landing page that is very, very similar to the Notes workspace that the users are already familiar with. And so we've got your application chiclets there that allow you to centrally manage and administer and distribute the applications that those users were using in the Notes client into the GBS web space, which gives them a single point of landing to access all of their applications for the organization. So if you have a client, for example, a user that uses 50 traditional Notes applications, they would generally go to their Notes workspace, go to the tab that they have those applications bookmarked on, and go from there. Trying to do the same thing with a large list of bookmarks within the browser itself generally is not very efficient for them. They don't generally like to move away from that model. And the Notes workspace is a very great desktop within an application for actually organizing a user's applications. I enjoy it myself. I live from the workspace when it comes time to actually get to where I need to go with my applications. And so what we've done is the GBS web space allows us to deliver all of those applications that they used to use via a central sort of portal, and it even integrates the mail and calendar within that portal, etc., so that they can get from there to their mail, embedded same-time web access, etc. So this offers a very, very good way of actually rolling out your transformed applications to the users, as opposed to trying to do it in a traditional way, like emailing out a list of links, etc. Once you have a transformed application present within your infrastructure, the Transformer extension library, which comes with your transformed applications, is going to give you the ability to deliver new functionality. And what that means is that extension library that resides on your server, we're going to deliver new functionality for that extension library, and that will be free of cost. So once you've transformed your applications, we're going to release new functionality for your transformed applications on a regular basis, and some of that functionality that is already on the roadmap includes charting, advanced search capability, modern print functionality, and, for example, import-export extensions. What does that mean? Well, once you have your transformed application, it runs on the Domino server. Within the Domino server will be our Transformer extension library, and what many developers will have to do, regardless of application type, is develop some type of search capability within that application so a user can search for information within that application. In the Notes client, they might use the built-in search bar for a view, but that's not going to be present within a transformed application. So we're going to deliver new functionality, such as advanced search, that you can make use of, that your developers can make use of right out of the box for your transformed applications. And one of the more exciting extensions that we're going to be delivering is the Touch Mobile Render Kit. What the Touch Mobile Render Kit is going to allow you to do out of the box is actually provision those applications to mobile devices in a layout and format that is designed for that application. So you have your traditional web layout, and then for the application, you have the application-specific, mobile client-specific layout, much like you see on the screen in front of you. How are we going to do that? Once again, this is going to be an extension to the extension library that you're going to be able to make use of right out of the box, and it's going to significantly cut down on the amount of time that you're going to need to invest in developing mobile access to those applications in the native format for those devices if you would have had to do it manually. So once again, another important feature that we're going to be rolling out as an extension to the Transformer extension library. Okay, so in summary, the Transformer technology is going to allow you to substantially save time and effort, and thus money, when it comes to modernizing your existing Domino application infrastructure, bar none. Why? Because the Transformer technology automates the conversion process up to 90% depending on application type. Very significant cost savings across the board, especially when you consider the multitude of applications present within your organization. So for example, if your organization with 500, 1,000, 2,000 applications and you need to web enable and modernize those applications, significant cost savings can be achieved using the Transformer technology, as well as time to market, if you will, with those applications. You can deliver those applications faster than you ever could by doing a manual conversion, regardless of platform. All right, so let's actually move on to a demonstration of the Transformer technology, and I'll also speak a bit more about the next steps. So there is actually a seamless transition from your traditional client-based application to a transformed X-Page application. Why? Because our Transformer process, along with our expert services, is fast. Once again, it's safe because we're not operating on any of the data. We're only operating on the template of the application. And it's easy because you're going to see reduced training needs in the end for those applications because we faithfully and accurately reproduce the layout and business logic of that application in the X-Pages application. The transformer process itself. So let's say you wanted to start, you wanted to engage, you wanted to modernize your application infrastructure with the GBS transformer technology. So the first step is that we do the investigation, which is done by the investigator. We use the investigator to gather the key information that builds a prioritized list of the target applications that are going to be conducive to automatic transformation. So within your environment, we install the investigator. The investigator can run for a period of 1 to 4 weeks. The investigator will analyze your entire application infrastructure. It's going to gather user activity statistics for every single application within your Domino infrastructure, and it's going to create a database inventory of all your applications. With that information, we're going to be able to determine unique applications and templates within your organization, filter out all the out-of-the-box applications such as team rooms, chats, chat rooms, libraries, etc. Using the investigator is going to allow us to identify the good candidates for transformation, because we're going to be able to, based on those usage statistics, find out which applications are used the most, by whom, and how often. And that's going to allow us to classify and typify those applications into a list that's going to show us which applications could, for example, be sunset and retired, which applications are not necessarily required for transformation, and which applications will make their way into a prioritized list for transformation. Once we've built that initial list of applications, we then use the analyzer on those application templates. So the analyzer analyzes the code within those application templates that we use the investigator to generate the list of applications. So the analysis is performed on the list of applications that were determined through the investigator. The analyzer determines the success factor and automatic conversion of that application, so the percentage goal for automatic conversion via transformer. So the analyzer determines, can this application be 90% automatically converted? Can it be 70% automatically converted? Can it be 60% automatically converted? And thus we're able to determine the amount of expert remediation that will need to be performed on that application in order to fully and faithfully reproduce the existing application's functionality. And this also gives us an opportunity to enhance the application's functionality at this point in time as well, depending on the business goals. Once we've analyzed that application template, we then convert the application into X-Page design through the transformer. So we read the design of the notes application via DXL. We convert all the layout, the Lotus script, and the at formula, the forms, the views, etc. Lotus script is actually converted to Java. We do that specifically because the majority of business logic present in traditional notes applications is in the Lotus script. And so in order to utilize that business logic within an X-Page application, you can't use the Lotus script because it doesn't fit within the X-Page application model. So what we do is we actually transform that Lotus script faithfully into a Java representation of the Lotus script so that we can use that Java resource from the X-Page design elements. The code is posted into that exact same template, so we will be inserting the X-Page design elements into the same template as the traditional design elements. It builds standard X pages, so you will be able to see the X-Page generated markup within the Domino designer. And it uses our transformer extension library, which is sort of the runtime upon which transformed applications exist within your Domino server. And it also is the extension library for which we'll be delivering additional functionality such as a mobile render kit, advanced searching functionality, etc., that your own in-house developers can make use of. And finally, the build, which actually compiles the final X-Pages application within the transformer. And the builder is something that you will actually be able to take to make use of within your own organization when it comes time to actually maintain, for example, your traditional Lotus script within the X-Pages design elements, and I'll actually demonstrate that in the technology demo. So the extension library, which is needed to actually run the transformed applications from your Domino server, is simply a OSGI plugin. And so it runs within the OSGI framework on your Domino server. Very simple, very easy, and there's no install required on your Domino server. It's simply a jar file that's placed into the ext directory of your Domino server, and all that's required is a HTTP restart. A restart of the HTTP task on your Domino server, and that's it. So just to reiterate, there's no installation of any files, etc., or resources required for your Domino server. It's simply a OSGI plugin jar file. And via the extension library, we have the ability to deliver to you those enhancement packs that are going to be able to deliver new system functionality to you that you can actually make use of from your transformed applications in-house. And like I said, an example of that is the mobile render kit. All right, so let's actually have a look at the transformer in action. So what you see in front of you is a simple, traditional, notes-rich client application. This specific application is actually a very simple a contact management system. Very traditional Domino layout. We have an action bar that we can click to create a new contact record. We have we have a view that displays our information. We have a view panel picker that we can use to navigate the different views available within this application. Some of these views are categorized. If we open up a document, it opens in a new tab, the traditional notes client method of opening documents. We see for the specific record a layout table, so labels on our left, in the actual field information on our right. We have a couple of action buttons so we can edit the document, save it, close it. An example here for demonstration purposes is actually a LotusScript example button. So this is actually a button that has LotusScript behind it that displays the title of the application in a message box. So all in all, not exactly a very complicated application, but nonetheless an example of traditional notes applications that are quite prevalent in many organizations around the world today. So if we have a look at this application in the Domino Designer, we can see that yes, there is the single notes view, the single contact form used to create our contact documents for this application. Once again, a tabular layout. Our fields on the right, our labels on the left. We see the action buttons that perform the CRUD operations. We can actually click on our LotusScript example button here and see that there is LotusScript here that gets a session, a database, and then demonstrates and then pops up a message box with the title of the application to the user. You'll notice that there are no X-page design elements present in this application. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to invoke the transformer technology on this application, and in real time right now I'm actually going to transform this client application into an X-page enabled application, giving me access through my browser, allowing me to distribute this application via cloud model, etc. And I'm going to do that right now in real time. So this is actually going to go faster than many of you would think, because all I need to do is hit the GBS Transformer option on this application. We'll see that it is actually generating X-page design elements right now in real time. You'll see that the X-page list is being populated with a timestamp of now, and that's it. So that was the complete process for the automated portion of the transformer technology in actually converting and faithfully reproducing the traditional design into X-page elements. So what I can do now is I can actually build this application. So I can compile it. Once that build is done, I can actually now, without any developer remediation, no developer interference at all, I can actually preview and open this application in a web browser now, which 2 minutes ago I was not able to do because it was a Notes client application. So this is not going to be perfect because, like I said, this was purely the automated portion of the transformer technology. However, you're going to see that we do have a completely functional web-enabled X-Page application that was developed through the transformer technology. So let's fire this application up in the web browser. I'll log in with my credentials. And there we see the layout is very much the same that it was in the Notes client. We have our view panel picker on the left. We have an embedded grid control on the right. The look and feel is very similar to what was present in the Notes client application. And all of this, and I just want to reiterate once again, all of this occurred with zero developer intervention. This was done completely through the transformer technology, completely automated. Is it 100% perfect? No, and this is where this remediation effort comes into play via our expert services as part of any transformer engagement. For example, layout and some certain colors, etc. We might want to actually be able to implement corporate branding here. We do see a couple of, for example, these null entries here that with a bit of developer remediation, we remove and clean up as part of the transformer process. All in all, this might take a developer a couple of hours to clean up. Compare this with having to do this manually. I don't think it's a stretch to say that even for myself, it would probably take me 2 days, maybe even 3 days tops to actually transform manually this application into an X-Page enabled application. So significant cost savings and time savings present. Once again, completely automated. I can actually open up this document. You'll see that the table layout has been faithfully recreated in X-Page design. Our field labels on our left, our data is on our right. I can actually edit this document and save any changes. So fully functional CRUD operations are present. If I open that record again, you will see the name change present. Jane Green. I can close the document, do a refresh, and we'll actually see that entry within the view itself. Now, let's actually have a look at that Lotus script. So let me enable that Lotus script on the X-Page, and this is something that I just need to do with a specific build of transformer. This is not something that is typical. Let's open up that form for that contact in the X-Page. So this is a custom control that actually represents the form, the traditional Notes form. We'll see here that we do have that Lotus script example button that I demonstrated earlier. Copy this piece of text out. Try and find that event so I can paste it in there. Let's just actually open this again. That made it simpler. Save this. It's asking me that I have build automatically turned off. I'll click OK and build the application. And what we're going to see in the next step here is that I'm actually going to click on that Lotus script button, which has actually been transformed into Java code, and you're going to see that function within the Notes browser. This is an example of accurately and faithfully reproducing the existing business logic within the application. So let me refresh that. Open up that Notes document within the browser and click on that Lotus script example. What do I see? Message box with the title of the database. This is actually noteworthy because this was done 100% automatically through the transformer conversion process. No developer intervention other than the pasting of that one piece of a text snippet into that X-Page design element. But this is completely noteworthy because of the fact that this is actually, this entire process of client-server communication exists within the browser. and to demonstrate that you have the ability from your own, within your own organization, to modify that loader script that has been transformed by yourself. So this is actually the text snippet of that loader script button within the X-Page design element. And to demonstrate, you'll see here that this is the loader script equivalent within the X-Page. Using the builder that you yourselves will have the ability to use within your organizations with transformed applications, using the builder, I can actually modify this loader script within this X-Page design element. We'll save it, rebuild it, refresh, and you'll see the text change here, the title of the databases. This is significant, but because what this means is that you can actually maintain from a maintenance point of view within your organization that loader script code within your X-Page, so that you're not dependent on having to do it outside of the X-Page model at all. So this is significant in terms of application maintenance because it allows you to use your existing in-house developers who might not necessarily be 100% familiar with the X-Page design methodology in order to maintain that loader script code on an ongoing basis for many of your applications. So just something that I wanted to demonstrate there for you. In question and answer period, I'll be happy to answer any and all questions regarding the transformation process from a technical level, but just want to reiterate, we actually have an application within our browser right now that we transformed automatically with no developer intervention. And because this is X-Pages, I have the ability to actually start implementing theming, to start, conforming with that corporate branding, etc. So if I go into the application properties, I can actually apply a theme to this application right away, giving me a much richer user experience right away. And that was very simple to implement. And once again, this shows you the benefits of the transformer technology and X-Pages specifically, in that it allows you to do these types of modifications to your applications very quickly and efficiently through the transformer technology and the expert services. All right, so let's talk about next steps. But before we get there, let's have a brief recap. So, transformer allows a seamless transition path for you as an organization to move from the Notes client to the X-Pages delivery model for the web, and transformer increases the efficiency of this upgrade process 70 to 90% automatically. What this allows you as an IT team to do is to provide new solutions to meet your company business requirements right away, because you're going to have web access, cloud-based delivery model, and you're going to have a modernized look and feel for those applications that many of your users are beginning to expect. And like I demonstrated with the loader script embedded within the X-Page design element, you're going to have the capability to maintain, for example, that loader script moving forward. Excuse me. Also of note, we won the CTO award for the transformer technology for this year's Lotus Fair, so 2011. And we're very, very proud of that accomplishment, and it shows that IBM has recognized the value that the transformer technology brings to an organization, because once again it's going to allow you to modernize your entire application infrastructure very quickly and efficiently because of the automated process that transformer brings to the table. Okay, so next step, how do you start with GBS in engaging with us to implement any transformer process and project? We start with the transformer analytics assessment. as an example, in many organizations around the world that have implemented Domino, and this actually speaks to one of the strengths of the Domino platform, is that because Domino is such an easy-to-use rapid application development tool, and depending on corporate IT policy within some of these organizations, end users actually have the ability to create applications themselves. And so what happened as one of the strengths of Domino, and not per se a weakness at all, but maybe some IT governance issues, is that you have an extremely large application infrastructure base within your organization, with many end-user created applications in addition to IT created applications as well. And so the analytics assessment, that analysis part of the transformer process, creates a complete application and infrastructure assessment. So we know exactly how many applications there are within your Domino infrastructure, where they are, what their usage statistics look like. And we need this for any migration project. Even yourselves would need this type of information for any migration project. And what that analysis assessment brings is an environmental readiness review. Is your environment ready for X-Page technology? The application uses analysis that I mentioned, and once again the application assessment of are these applications a good fit for the transformation process. From the assessment, we actually develop a very detailed project report and project plan that we deliver to you as part of the transformer assessment. That report contains an entire inventory of your Domino application infrastructure. It's going to help you to understand the entire environment. It determines the number of unique applications and templates. It is going to locate the dependencies between those applications. It's going to identify the usage statistics of those applications, so who, what, when, where. It's going to pinpoint any areas where we can optimize. And all of this is needed specifically because of determining the size of the migration, so the size of your initiative in transforming from traditional to X-Page, to prioritize the applications based on need, so high priority, medium priority, low priority, and finally to deliver a very accurate and detailed cost assessment of the entire application, of the entire migration process. So you in actuality will be receiving from us a very detailed project plan and cost assessment for those applications that you are looking to modernize using the transformer technology. You will also, as in addition to that assessment report that you receive, you will also get a portal login to a number of reports of your existing application infrastructure. So you'll be able to actually log in to a portal and view all of these different types of reports for your application infrastructure. And here's an example of that, of a report that you would have access to. So you're going to be able to get summary reports, database inventory reports, activity reports, user activity reports, etc. So that's something else that is part of the deliverable to you in that application assessment for Transformer. So the steps to actually undertaking an assessment process with us are, we have the project kickoff. We do the infrastructure assessment using our Transformer Investigator. We do a data collection of the templates that we're going to determine for transformation, so collection of those application templates. Once again, no data required at all, specifically only application templates. We do our analysis, so the transformer analysis of those application templates. This results in the level of transformation automation for each application, and thus its ability for automatic conversion using Transformer. We will present all of that information to you, at which point we can get a project completion and sign off to move forward with what I want to call whitelist of applications that we have targeted for transformation using Transformer. And generally speaking, this is a process that can probably take four weeks, give or take a bit, depending on the environment size. So just to recap, the transformer assessment, we start off with investigating your existing Domino infrastructure, getting a copy of those templates that you're looking to transform, analyzing those templates, developing a detailed report with specific cost estimates, specific project plan, presenting that project plan and results to you, at which point from there forward we can start with a sign-off on the work to be done and moving forward form a partnership for enabling your transformation goals. So at this point, if there are any questions and answers, I'll pass it over to Dawn. I think she has a couple of slides that she just wants to briefly talk about to recap, but we can get on to the question and answer period at this point. Dawn, did you want to take it from here?
Thanks, TJ. Just as my dogs begin to go nuts, so I'll apologize for any background barking. There is some questions in the queue that we'll get to in just a moment. And while I'm going over these last few slides, if you all want to add any additional questions, please feel free to do that. I just want to let everyone know if they're looking for any more information on the transformer itself, that you could always visit our website. And I've got a handy little link here to the transformer page. Or if after the conclusion of this webinar, you have any questions or would like to inquire as to how to go about getting engaged with GBS for transformation, you could always email us at info@gbs.com. And then before we get to the Q&A, TJ, if we just move to the last slide, I just want to give a little pitch for our next upcoming events. If you're looking at this particular webinar around transformer, chances are you may be interested in X pages themselves. So we do have an X series going on that GBS is doing in conjunction with TLCC. So our next one of those is on December 15th, where we're having a panel of experts do a Q&A panel with us. And then another one in January talking about mobilizing your X Pages applications using the extension library. And there'll be some exciting new information with some updates that IBM will be providing. And then, of course, we'll be at Lotusphere, so we encourage you to come and visit us there as well. So with that being said, I will take some of these questions that are sitting in the queue and see if hopefully we can get these answered for you. The first question that's here is, do we have to use GBS services, or is the software available for purchase and allowed to do the development themselves? I think I'll try to tackle this one and then let TJ correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the initial assessment does require our services, but the remediation, I would assume, could be either through us or through their own services. But TJ might be able to answer that a little better. Yeah, exactly. It's not something that we would completely shut out the possibility of doing. So that's an example of where we can actually do a partnership where we utilize the transformer technology for the automated transformation, and we can actually instruct, for example, your in-house developers on how to use the transformer output within the X Pages in order to do the manual remediation effort in-house. So it's not something that we're not shutting out completely, and something that we're definitely willing to discuss. Okay. The next question is, where can we sign up for the webinars that I mentioned? You could, sorry about that, I should have said something. You can go to our website, www.gbs.com, and then there's our events page where you'll find all of the upcoming events for us, and you can very easily register there for any of our future webinars. Another question that came through is, will the transformer work on templates that have hidden design elements? I'll let TJ answer that one.
Good question. No, it won't. So if you have a hidden design inside of your application, that's actually something that we'll find through the analysis portion and flag. So it will not operate on hidden design.
Okay. Another question coming through is, can we talk about pricing? I'm assuming that the reason that hasn't been brought up as of yet is because it's very specific to the client's need. But I don't know if TJ, you could say any sort of range for starting, or I don't know if we have anything like that.
Sure. And exactly to Dom's point, a reason we don't discuss pricing per se in this type of webinars, because once again, every transformer assessment is very specific to individual customers because of your application infrastructure. Because every application is different, the amount of transformation that could be automated can vary, for example, between 60 to 90%. And what that means is that the remaining 10 to 30% requires manual remediation, and dependent on the manual remediation effort involved, the price can fluctuate. But if we're looking for like just an indicator of what the average might be, we found that with some of the applications that we've been assessing, etc., with our customers, that it's generally around $5,000 per application, give or take a bit. So that's sort of like a guide range there for what it costs in a manual remediation effort per template. And on top of that, we do have a fixed fee of $1,000 per template. So let's say you have 10 applications that you want to transform and remediate. So the fixed fee is $10,000 for those 10 applications, plus the remediation effort for those applications, dependent once again upon the amount, the percentage of those applications that require manual remediation. So then that, once again, that is completely dependent upon the application per customer, per organization, etc. But a good guide range, $5,000 give or take per application, plus the $1,000 fixed fee per template.
So if someone wanted to do their own remediation, it would be a minimum of $1,000, right, per template?
Exactly. It would be a minimum of $1,000, and this is really a partnership effort, so I wouldn't want to say that it's something that you can immediately engage with us upon in order to simply transform your application and give it back to you, because our concern is that we want you to be successful in your transformation initiatives or your web modernization initiatives from moving from the Nodes client to the web. And the last thing we want to do is simply transform your application with all of the what I want to call non-remediated design present and simply give it back to you, and then have you, for example, struggle with the manual remediation effort of that. And that's why we form a close partnership in making sure that you are successful.
Great. Okay, those are all the questions that I had in the queue, and I know we're getting close to the end of our time here. So I want to thank everyone for joining us. I want to especially thank TJ for taking the time to walk through this with us, and remind everyone that if you do have any other questions that you want to have answered, feel free to email them into us, and we'll get back to you in the most timely fashion. The email address is info, that's INFO, @gbs.com. And that will be routed to the most appropriate person for the question being asked, and we'll get back to you as timely as we can. You could use that same email address if you're interested in contacting us with a question or engaging us for a transformation services. I'd like to again thank everyone for attending, encourage you to join us for a future webinar, and we hope to see most of you at LoadSphere. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.